Prince William has finally snapped. Enough is enough. He has told friends he will strip Meghan Markle of the HRH title.
We said Parliament was moving. Now the volume just went up. A storm rolled through Westminster, landing harder than any palace whisper. Because this isn't just politics. This isn't just a royal scandal. This time, it's the House of Commons telling the Crown, you're not untouchable anymore. For years, MP after MP watched as titles were traded, interviews exploded, and royals walked free from headlines that should have ended them. Then came the shockwave. First, it hit the palace walls with Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Now it's heading straight for Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, and Meghan Markle.
I did think it would happen. If Harry and Meghan are watching, they should be incredibly concerned, because if it's this simple to take away Prince Andrew's titles, one day it could be this easy to take away Harry and Meghan's title.
Because when one royal can lose a title, what's stopping the rest? And make no mistake, the whispers are louder now. Social feeds, royal channels, lifestyle podcasts, all asking, if the Crown let Andrew be stripped, can Harry and Meghan be next? There's so much to unpack here, from William's quiet fingerprints on this move to Charles's heartbreaking hesitation to Meghan's brand panic across the Atlantic. If you want to see how this royal showdown ends, hit subscribe, like, and stay locked in, because this isn't just history. It's payback. Some stories fade, this one mutated. Ever since Harry and Meghan walked away from royal life, the question of their titles has refused to die. It reappears like a ghost every few months, a petition here, a parliament whisper there, and then, just when it seems to quiet down, Meghan signs another brand deal or Harry gives another interview, and the noise roars back to life. In Westminster, MPs describe it as unfinished business. In the British press, it's the headline that keeps paying rent. And among royal watchers, it's become a sort of national sport, predicting when the next wave will hit. The reason it never goes away is simple. The Sussexes never stopped using what they left behind. Every podcast intro, every public appearance, every glossy magazine profile still leans on the words Duke and Duchess. And to many in Britain, that feels like an open wound, a reminder that they cashed out on the crown but kept the crown's shine. Behind the gossip pages and morning talk shows, a quiet fury has built up. People aren't just tired, they feel played. Because when you tell the world you don't need the monarchy, but you still use its name as your headline, you don't just walk away from royalty. You weaponize it, and that's why Parliament's patience, much like the public's, finally snapped. Every royal storm starts with one crack in the wall, and this time, that crack's name was Prince Andrew. When Parliament and the palace quietly agreed to strip Andrew of his titles and privileges, the move sent a message louder than any royal statement could. For the first time in living memory, a royal born in the Queen's shadow was publicly cut loose. No ceremony, no farewell, just removal. And the public's reaction? Electrifying. The mood flipped overnight from cautious outrage to open satisfaction. Across Britain, coffee shops, social feeds, and talk shows buzzed with one line that said it all. If they can do it to him, they can do it to anyone. That single moment changed the temperature around Harry and Meghan completely. What once seemed too cruel was suddenly fair. If Andrew, the Queen's favorite, could lose his titles, why should the Sussexes keep theirs while living in California and monetizing royal stories on streaming platforms?
To exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. Let them go off and be, celebrities, that's fine. But don't do it in the name of our royal family.
Parliament felt that shift instantly. Lawmakers started referencing royal accountability, news pundits called it precedent, and royal insiders whispered that the crown had finally found its spine. Andrew had become the test case, the proof that even blue blood could bleed. And while Buckingham Palace tried to act composed, somewhere in Montecito, a storm started to brew. Because the Sussexes knew that once one royal falls, the dominoes never stop at one.
Prince William has in the past fortnight seized control of the British monarchy from a weak and dying King Charles, and that spells very bad news for Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lily.
The biggest misconception about Prince William is that he's quiet because he's soft. He isn't. He's quiet because he's strategic. While the headlines kept chasing Harry and Meghan's every move, William was shaping the field beneath them. Insiders whisper that the so-called royal titles reform wave didn't start in Parliament at all. It started in Kensington. The timing of Andrew's punishment, the silence from the palace, the sudden lack of resistance from the king's advisors, none of it was coincidence. William doesn't leak. He lets people assume. One palace aide told a reporter off record. That's his power. He doesn't argue in public, he maneuvers in silence. And when he saw how smoothly Andrew's removal was handled without riots, without rebellion, he realized Parliament could do the heavy lifting for him. So while Charles worried about optics, William tightened his network. The courtiers loyal to him, the MPs eager to modernize, the royal advisors tired of scandal, they all began to move in unison. There were no late-night calls, no written orders, just approval in silence. Because the future king doesn't have to raise his voice to change the room, he just has to nod. And this time, there was no resistance. Not from Parliament, not from the press, not even from the palace. The world had already accepted the idea that titles could vanish overnight, which left one question hanging in Montecito's air. If William won't stop the tide, who will? When the palace stalls, Parliament moves. That's the new unwritten rule echoing through Westminster, and it's exactly what's happening now. Because every time the monarchy hesitates to clean its own house, lawmakers quietly start drafting the broom. The conversation began with one man, MP Bob Seeley, the longtime critic who once suggested reviving the 1917 Titles Deprivation Act, the same law used to strip traitorous royals of their honors a century ago. It sounded absurd back then, but now it feels prophetic. The idea resurfaced after Andrew's downfall, gaining traction as a necessary modernization. What's different this time is the tone. The conversations aren't whispered anymore. They're procedural, official.
In here is that William can now take away everything, their titles, without an act of Parliament.
Ordinary, as if rewriting royal history is just another day's work at the Commons. Lawmakers are framing it as accountability, not revenge. If royals want independence, one insider summarized in private briefings, they can live like everyone else. Across Britain, that sentiment hums through the public like static. People who once worshipped the Windsors now want to see the monarchy adapt or fall, and Parliament is listening. The Crown's greatest weakness has always been its reliance on silence, but Parliament speaks in votes, not vows, and votes have no loyalty. Which is why the Sussexes suddenly find themselves staring down not a feud with family, but a system rewriting the rules that once protected them.
So trust me, Harry and Meghan right now should be very afraid because it is a matter of when, not if.
When the first whispers of Parliament's move reached California, the reaction inside Montecito wasn't confusion, it was disbelief. At first, Meghan reportedly brushed it off as tabloid noise, but as the same narrative began flooding royal YouTube channels, mainstream news outlets, and trending hashtags in the UK, panic started to ripple through her inner circle. Because this wasn't the palace trying to humiliate her, this was Parliament, elected officials, not courtiers, discussing the possibility of wiping out her and Harry's royal identity on paper. That's a different kind of danger. It can't be fought with PR. Inside the Montecito mansion, calls went out to London lawyers, branding managers, and media strategists. The question wasn't legal, it was existential. If Parliament strips the Sussexes' titles, how does the Duchess sell herself without the Duchess? One source close to the scene described the mood as tense, frantic, and oddly quiet. Staff walked carefully, phones buzzed with new headlines every hour. The usual sparkle of confidence that defined Meghan's brand seemed to dim under the harsh light of legitimacy, because if the removal came from Parliament, it wouldn't look personal. It would look official.
HRH is only given to working royals, senior members of the royal family, because it denotes a level of respect in the public, and also it's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit, they do not use their names to make money. It's an honour to have an HRH.
Harry, on the other hand, took it differently, not as a PR nightmare, but as a betrayal. He'd expected the palace to be his problem, not politicians. And somewhere between pride and panic, Meghan realized the unthinkable. The country she once accused of cruelty was now debating how to delete her title altogether. The mood in Britain has shifted. You can feel it in the headlines, hear it in late-night radio, even sense it in the tone of breakfast TV hosts who once defended the Sussexes. People aren't whispering anymore, they're deciding. The public that once adored Harry, the cheeky soldier prince, now speaks of him with an exhausted sort of pity. And Meghan, once hailed as a breath of fresh air, is now seen by many as the storm that never ends. Across social circles, from London pubs to online threads, one line keeps surfacing in different forms. They wanted freedom and they got it, so why are they still using the crown? That's the heart of the backlash. It's not about race, it's not about jealousy, it's about respect. The feeling that when you leave a family, you don't keep the family name to sell the story. Parliament is simply catching up with the people. Polls show support for trimming royal titles higher than ever. What began as curiosity has hardened into a quiet demand for consequences. And in that silence, something bigger is happening. The monarchy's modern contract is being rewritten by public opinion. No scandals, no shouting, just a collective shrug that says, enough. And for the Sussexes, that shrug is more dangerous than any headline, because when the public stops defending you, the palace no longer has to. If Parliament passes the reform, even partially, it won't happen with trumpets or public ceremony. It'll happen the same way every royal purge does, quietly, at midnight in the digital corridors of Buckingham Palace. One moment, the website will list the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The next, it'll just say Harry and Meghan. No announcement, no speech, just deletion. The first wave will be bureaucratic, a legal adjustment, a symbolic act, but the second wave will hit harder, the cultural erasure. Without their titles, the Sussexes' entire brand architecture trembles. Every charity name, every foundation logo, every upcoming project that leans on royal credibility will suddenly look borrowed, outdated, almost fraudulent. It's not just about what they lose, it's about what they can't rebuild. Because a title stripped by Parliament carries a stain you can't spin away in a podcast. It becomes a mark of rejection, not by family, but by the state. For Meghan, that's branding suicide. For Harry, it's identity collapse. Even across the Atlantic, the ripples will be felt. American networks will treat it like royal drama, British outlets will call it correction, and the monarchy will stand taller for it. Not because they're perfect, but because the one thing more powerful than a crown is Parliament's pen, and once that pen moves, even royal blood can't rewrite what's been signed. When the crown hesitates, Parliament doesn't blink. And this time, it didn't just speak, it acted. Across Westminster, the message was unmistakable. The era of untouchable royals is over. No matter how polished your Netflix interviews, no matter how far your mansion sits from London, the weight of the British institution still travels. It moves slowly, but when it strikes, it never misses. For Harry and Meghan, this moment isn't just about losing titles, it's about being quietly ushered out of history. Once their names fade from the royal roster, they'll stand as private citizens, not exiled, but erased. And that's worse, because exile keeps your legend alive, erasure leaves you invisible. Inside Buckingham Palace, aides reportedly sighed in relief. The monarchy got its balance back without lifting a royal finger. In Montecito, the silence was deafening. The statement Harry once dreamed of making, "I choose my own life," had been made for him by people he never met, in a room he'll never walk into again. Across Britain, the feeling isn't cruelty, it's closure. A quiet belief that the monarchy has finally learned how to defend itself, not with scandal, but with silence. And as the world debates whether the Sussexes deserved it or not, the truth sits in plain sight. The royal fairy tale didn't collapse, it was rewritten. This is Hollywood Daily Reports, and this royal reckoning is far from over. Subscribe, like, and stay locked in, because the next chapter in the House of Windsor's power play is already being written.